What is open source and what is closed source software? First we talk about open source. The term open source, as the name suggests, is open source code of software or application. Source codes are building blocks of software or applications that computer understands to run the programs that the code that computer programmers design, write and manipulate or change. And it affects how a piece of program or application works. Programmers create and have access to computer programs' source code. They can fix, improve or even upgrade it to new version that program by adding new features to it or fixing parts that don't always work correctly by debugging it. Open source software is open for the general people to view, inspect, share and modify and enhance the code of the software as they wish. It also includes permission to use the source code, design documents, or content of the product. So basically anyone can modify and share or even contribute to its development because its design is publicly accessible for anyone, programmers and non-programmers. It's like an open door to software, where everyone is invited and most welcome to come in and stay, as opposed to closed source software, where only the creators of software is welcome, so the door is closed for public. The open source originated in the context of software development to designate a specific approach to creating computer programs. Today as we speak, there is huge community of open source software developers who work voluntarily to develop and share open source software for the entire world. As we already mentioned, open source software and projects celebrate the notion of open exchange of ideas, rapid software development, bug fixes and community-oriented software development. So we can say that open source rocks. The whole idea of open source technology and open source thinking both benefit programmers and everyone that knows computers or not. Early scientists, programmers and inventors build much of the computer and internet on open source technologies. Like as we mentioned, Linux operating system or Apache web server application. Anyone using the internet today can enjoy and benefits from open source software. So how people can use open source software? Every open source software has license which grants the user permission to use the software freely, so people can modify, study and distribute the software. So generally speaking, open source licenses grant computer users to use software any way they wish. So it's generally good idea to read the open source software licenses before using them. Some but rare open source licenses says that anyone who alters and shares a program with others must also share that program's source code without charging a licensing fee for it. There are tons of open source softwares, but only some of the big names are Linux operating system, GIMP or GNU image manipulation program, Firefox browser, LibreOffice, Google's Chromium and Android mobile operating system is just some big names in the open source software. So if you are looking for free operating system, so you don't have to spend any money, is Linux Ubuntu operating system, where you spend no money at all. So just a reminder, if you have Android OS mobile, it is based on Linux software. What is closed source software? Some software, as the name suggests, is closed door. No one, but only handful of people can access it. It has source code that only the authorized people in the organization have access to. It is called proprietary or closed source software. It is heavily guarded with strict security and only the original creators of software can copy, inspect, and modify that software. And in order to use closed source or proprietary software, after purchase, computer users must agree to the terms and condition, and they have to agree that hey, will not do anything with the software that the software's authors have not expressly permitted. Microsoft Office and Adobe Photoshop are examples of closed-source and proprietary software. So if open-source software is free for public to view, how to get open-source software? GitHub is the place to get open-source software. Just type the link. For example, if you want to view and read the code for Linux operating system, you can go to GitHub and you can download, read of how the world's most famous operating system, Linux, is designed. Just hip. Did you know that every supercomputer in the world runs on Linux operating system, including Google and International Space Station computers? It is one of the most powerful and unique operating system, where thousands of programmers work on day and night. If you're looking for free operating system, then you are at the right place. It does not even cost you a single cent. And it opens the door to the most awesome and most powerful operating system the world has ever seen. Please subscribe us for more videos.